Friends of Non-Solomare, I arrived at the last day spent with Salvatore Ranieri here in their fantastic Soverato Ranieri International. I am on board one of the two novelties, those you will find in the International Boat Show starting from Cannes. Cayman 33.0 executive. I told him, Salvatore, before I leave, I have to show you what I have enjoyed these days. I tried it in all the sauces. I also did the test, che potete trovare su NonsolomareTV, a more detailed test with everything they are, the usual things. But before I leave, I said, I want to give you all the chance to understand immediately what we are talking about. A truly exceptional hull, the third generation of their hulls here. They have really put everything that is the study of many years and an evolution of the evolution. And so with those two Mercury Vacuos, 300 horsepower each, we do some tests and images, especially with cameras positioned in a clever way to show you also how this hull works. And the first thing I want to do is show them how they exalt I2V8E. So from 0 to 40 knots, I say 40 knots because he does about 50 and a half, 51. It depends a lot on the conditions. There you come into play with the currents, with what is the meter situation of that day and the adjustment of the trim, which obviously requires some micro regulation. So there you go to look for the last half knot, and it takes more time. It always depends on who is in charge. Instead, we from 0 to 40, I would say that we can do it with a stopwatch and give a parameter to show how much they exalt the 600 horses that are installed in the mouth. So Salvatore agrees, I'll give you the go. Let's start with the timer then. 3 and 21 down.
He's already out. In a few seconds, we can already start reading the word. We'll be 40 soon, right? Here they are already past 40 knots. It's 11 seconds, and we are still at 40 knots. Guys, I don't know exactly. That's the camera. We can show 11 seconds. The stopwatch has stopped, and it's the first since I wanted to give you, I would say.
Achieving 40 knots in 11 seconds is impressive.
Bad, but considering that this fly top still has a minimum of resistance to advance, so I believe that at least at maximum speed we will lose 3-4 knots. And then we regain cover, sun in some.
Comfort mode.
During navigation, is it worth losing those few knots?
And then with this camera that also frames the instrumentation, given that you spoke of the Maxim,
Let's go.
let's see.
This.
Maximum speed.
Shall we send him?
Down at this point,
Let's go to.
look for the perfect setup to earn everything we can.
Give this hull as a gift in these conditions.
This evidence is obviously related to our
To the day then the
can half a knot dance,
on base.
the conditions.
Weather Marines, let's try. Let's go.
Feel how it is an immediate answer they make themselves heard. Sing the two Mercury starts now to fly over the water. We're at 45 knots, 47, 40, 08, 30, 49. .930 and almost 50. Here they are missing 02. Here, let's try to reverse the wheel. Let's see if by chance the current today also depends on the currents. Sometimes that 02E03, those 0230 knot can vary, eh? And so in the meantime, we are at 40 knots, and look what allows us this hull. Can we really feel safe? Turn. Important waves, but can't you really hear them at 40 knots? Here, the vault has been reversed at this moment, and I'm relaunching it. Let's see if we can gain anything in this direction. 46. .40.08, 30, 49, sale 49.5. 49.8. Today, he does not want to reach 50. For 0202, he was missing for 50 knots. But I was saying the point is that those conditions can vary depending on the day. Another important factor, of course, is safety on board. You have seen how it always feels safe even when we launch it at 50 knots, I must say. Here it is a satisfaction to be here.
In command Y.
By the way, they have installed this VE device.
I want it.
Display to them the installation process.
the zip.
Wait, an accessory, eh?
An optional add-on available for those considering a purchase offering substantial benefits without touching anything. And here we don't have to touch, we just have to turn it on. They are the fins that move by themselves installed on the stern mirror, which go to do a similar job a little bit to what could be the flap, but they are not intrusive, not even aesthetically. You don't notice they are small, they are there, but they work really well. Why? First of all, if we now make a departure and show it again as neutral, and we want, depart decisively when that instance, those 2 seconds, that is to say, that moment in which it slightly shifts, perhaps tilts a little as it's pushed by 600 horsepower to rise up. They instantly adjust it to keep it stable, and then you have a start that appears almost surreal, resembling science fiction because the dinghy remains stable from the onset. I'll demonstrate it now. And particularly because that is merely one perk, if we assert it's satisfying, but in reality it doesn't alter your life. No, because the dinghy, even when turned off, starts remarkably well and the sound is distinct. Additionally, if we opted to carry 10, 12 people on board, how significant is that?
Homologated, and he homologated for 20.
People, 20 people, if we had many friends on board and everyone sees the dolphins on one side, they sit, or everyone chats on this side because, you know, that on the boat, then it's hard to keep everyone in their place composed, because then we're all having fun. Here, if many people go to one side, or in any case we have loaded weights, we have brought luggage, and the weight is a little unbalanced, then they alone, without us touching anything, straighten them, keep the trim always perfectly parallel. There's not that skew it could give. That feeling a bit the sailboat is not there, it is.
An automatic trim regulator, therefore, in reality they are not standard because the dinghy does not need them, but in the long list of optional accessories we provide them because they help and facilitate life on board those who sail.
Shall we show him then? We're standing still now. We don't need to run at 40 knots, but if we give it power and make it glide decisively. Look now with that camera there. You will see the bow that remains remains parallel to the sea, and this is a nice satisfaction. Look, we got power, look how.
Immediate! They are already working 100%.
And look,
How did she not get up?
but not even
Exactly off.
by 1 centimeter. So the last test, guys, let's play a little bit with this Cayman 33. Let's show you some evolution. To show them how tumors work. Well, you don't trust me? So guys, lower the trim, because when we play these games here, we have to feel the hull working.
All departure and observe here. How can I veer one against the other? But the important thing to note is that we cannot continue looking at each other, I must accept.
But look what he's doing.
A significant turn, there's no type of...
Uncertainty.
The hull is remarkably stable. Nailed to the water like a Ferrari, it keeps what is the turn angle I set, and I can counter turn immediately. But look how I can really steer it. At my pleasure, I will make you do what I want, and I will close the turn now, specifically on this side. Notice how the tubular is fully immersed in the water. Now I'm operating on this other side, because with this camera, if you don't end up in the water, I'll display it from here. Look at the lowered tubular and see the quality. Now observe how the tubular functions in the water. Well, this is a defining feature of the inflatable realm, but in this particular case, the tube height is perfect. Why is that? Because if I am now...
I throw it in.
And I'm in position to sail on a safe course, the one in front of me. Tubular does not touch the water. In this case, we detach completely. Kong? No, the brake effect of the tubular that when it touches the water.
Slow down a little.
And instead, they have found that perfect position that allows us to have the work that needs to be done when we happen to have to.
Do.
An important turn.
Or to take a somewhat special sea, but
When you don't need one.
Poe really resembles him.
When?
They don't need them, they don't work when the tubular works here.
And this is it.
Furthermore, at such a time when the boat attains perfect condition, then what?
Right.
They retract, so they don't actually work. It doesn't work. It doesn't.
They exist, but also tubulars. When we are after 35, 40 knots, they are not. That is, if the sea is like this, perfect conditions to navigate, they do not intervene. They are there at your disposal. They are there to give you the security you need, but they work only when it is necessary. When we go to make such a sharp turn, then you have seen that more than that. We don't do the boat effect that skids more, the tumors that.
They do their job.
Whenever it becomes necessary, you can see their role. They only intervene when it is essential. Gentlemen, we are in a neutral state and observe the remarkable stability of this vehicle, which remains immobile. Nothing is in operation. He is behaving in this manner. An impeccably balanced hull. This heavily relies on the design work done on the hull. We are practically stranded in the middle of the sea. Therefore, this procedure is typically carried out in a sheltered bay. When we anchor, we are situated in the middle of the ocean, capable of setting up a table for coffee and enjoying a break. Yet at this juncture, it is no longer feasible as we must head back. At present, we steer towards Ranieri International, the maritime base where yearly tests are conducted before anyone else and prior.
Let them try it on us. They test it on them and then let them try it.
It's clear to everyone who wants to visit here and experience Soverato, they have a magnificent seaside location.
Next, we charted a course for the International Naval Base. And I must say, it's quite a voyage at 40 knots. Here he is, savoring the remaining miles in Soverato. I give you an appointment at all the boat shows, starting from Cannes, and then being in Genoa, and all those who will come to the various shows. I thank Salvatore and all Ranieri International for what they do for us Italians.
Thank you all once again for coming this year to visit us and get a glimpse of our lives. We appreciate it so much.
You all are such a joy, 40 wonderful grandparents. Hello to each and every one of you.